Hello. Hi. Good to meet you. What? Hi. Wow. So, it's been a bit. I've said this many a times, but no, it's really true this time around. Also, why am I so pale? Weird. I haven't seen the sun too much lately. Been locked inside of an office more or less. Yes. So, hopefully life has been treating you well. I haven't filmed a video in a while. Like, a long while. I don't know why I look so pale on a side note. I'm seeing it in the viewfinder. I look really white. I don't know what that is. I have not seen the sun. I do think I'm coming down with something. But anyways, enough about me. Despite that's what this dumb video series is. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, of course, to Let's Talk. Well, it happened, and I'm back. And my voice is slightly hoarse. Okay, so I cut to me way more in the past where we are not 2 weeks early, which in that clip we were. I also decided to film that at last minute when I had an hour of time, but even still, an hour of time in a very busy day where you're exhausted isn't a lot. At least not a lot of energy. So forgive me for that. But I thought I would come and kind of re-explain myself to a degree. There are some cute parts with the lovely man, the myth, the legend, Duke, the pup that I was watching, which I'll probably squeeze in there and leave that whole segment in talking about him. But ultimately, I thought I didn't do a great job of explaining what happened and the things that I learned from it and all that stuff. So, without further ado, maybe you want to throw on play a game while we're talking, just because I don't really plan to throw anything in the corner, because these are already kind of like podcasts. So I figure, let's just roll with it as a podcast kind of thing, you know? But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, like I said beforehand in a very awkward way, welcome back to Let's Talk. So, the 3 weeks of hell. Well, I'm sorry to have slightly clickbaited you a tiny bit. It wasn't that bad, actually. That's what I came across, or came out of the whole experience. It kind of being not that bad. Manageable is the kind of perfect word for it, I think. Which was baffling to me because, again, well, this whole experience I've told you guys on stream that this is like the 3 weeks of hell. That's why the streams looked weird for a bit. Anyways, I talked about this a lot, but I didn't do a great job of explaining why. Now, why was that? Well, the reason is because I don't like talking about things in the future because there's a lot of reasons. One of the reasons was like I don't want. It's like the same reason why I don't give out my my exact coordinates. Same as like any of that other stuff. You know, I want to be better to be safe than sorry kind of idea. But as well as when I feel like when you talk about things that you have zero control over that exist in the future, that's just tempting fate to be like, excuse me, bitch, I'm going to fuck your life up. And I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry. Please. Also forgive me. I am covered in sweat because I didn't have any time today either, but I was feeling a little bit more up to talking because, again, the clip that you're about to see of Duke and me, or wrestling, so to speak, is bad because I'm so burnt out in the brain. I have no semblance of words and whatnot. And at least this is like me. I've already filmed a bunch, so I'm kind of back into the flow of things. So, anyways, what happened, Grin? What were these 3 weeks of hell? Why were they so bad? Well, essentially, I talked about it in the past, but to condense it, it was more responsibility than I had ever had. Meaning it was going from like 10 things to 50 things to maybe even 100 things that you were now responsible for. And yeah, one of these things were, for instance, basically I had to take care of our family shop. I had to take care of all of our puppies. I also had to take care of our house. And all of those three things entail a lot for one little old person. So one of the things for my job, the kind of nice part about working for family, at least, there's many wonderful things, but this is one of them. You work it's kind of a necessity through the way we get work and whatnot, but still, basically I work kind of odd hours, like it's not like 9 to 5 every single day, but because there was no one there to watch it and we still need to be open, I had to get up at not 9 to 5, 8 to 5 is what it is. But because we have dogs, I had to wake up at like 7:30, and some of you guys may be like, oh, that's not that bad, Grin. It is when you have a hard time sleeping, like a very hard time sleeping. So Oh, great. How long was this happening? That is the worst. I hate when that shit goes down. Also, I have a crazy zit here. Listen, this may not have been the best idea to reshoot this thing, but we're doing it. Also, I feel gross and sticky because I just exercised. Don't look at me. Listen. Or not. Frankly, the fact that you're listening to me right now is a gift. Anyways, moving on. So needless to say, that was a lot. Having to wake up and basically I go to sleep at 1, not because I want to, just because it's hard for me to go to sleep. Like I'll be in bed by 10 and just can't quiet the mind, and then I look over and I see that it's like 1 or 2 a.m. and I'm like, kill me, this is the worst. People that can just close their eyes and go to sleep, you have a superpower. Congratulations, you can rule the world. All right? Anyways. So that was a frustrating part, and the reason why I had to get up at 7 was because of those pups. That my parents' dogs, so to speak, are very much on a strict schedule, especially when one of them is a 6-month-old puppy. In the video that you're about to see, I think I refer to him as a year-old puppy. No, he's a 6-month-old puppy, who has like a ton of bad information installed in him by his previous owners, which couldn't handle him, which is not shocking because boxers are a lot. But very high energy dogs. Love them to pieces. Incredibly loving dogs, but just they never stop. It's just a barrage of energy all the time. But it's also a barrage of love all the time. Anyways, we're not scattered. Believe me, the previous video was much more scattered, which is saying horrible things about me. But anyways, so yeah, that was one of the things, is that I had to get up at this weird regimented time, and that was kind of fine. Lack of sleep, well, we'll talk about it. But anyways, that was one of the things I had to manage. The other thing I had to manage was basically going through a scenario where I would live completely by myself. And this is always something that like people in the back of their mind always think about like, okay, well, maybe you're in high school or something, or maybe a lot of you guys are already doing that, but when you were in high school or anything like that, you're probably thinking, okay, well, if I go to live on my own, what would be the things I would need to learn? Hopefully you do this and you come to the deduction of, oh, okay, I would need to know how to, do laundry, clean, buy food, the whole 9 yards, survive, basically survive. Whereas the next, or like the 18 years of your life, someone hopefully was, taking care of a lot of the things so you could focus on learning and growing. Just by the virtue of the situation that I'm currently in right now, I haven't gotten there yet, which, some people could judge in a negative way, but hey, it turns out, it wasn't that bad. So yes, this whole thing, I had to make myself food and all these things, and like do laundry and all these things. And basically what I'm getting at is nothing was insane. Like nothing was impossible. I'm getting better with age, I think, about doing things that I don't exactly want to do, but I know need to get done. It's becoming like weirdly easy. And I remember when I was younger, it was so hard for me to do anything that I didn't want to do. Like that, I think is why I struggle with learning so much. But that's not to say that I didn't try to learn. It's just to say that it's almost like you don't have any want, so it's hard. Like you can have all the force to learn, but if you don't have any want, it's very hard. You know what I mean? Like you can sit down and listen, but if it's going in one ear and out the other, you know what I mean? Like it's, even though you're trying to listen, the want there, the desire, I guess with me is very much the thing that fuels me. But having aged quite a bit, I found that skill kind of comes back up in a good way, meaning you can do things that you don't exactly want to do and just kind of push through them so that you can get to the other side, which I think happens with age, maybe? I don't know about that. That was one of the things I had to also manage, basically living alone, by yourself, without anyone helping you or managing everything else, without a roommate helping you do the dishes, none of that shit, just by myself, which was, again, super manageable. Like I had no issues doing the dishes or anything like that. I also was the asshole who took home ec because I knew that I wanted to survive and make food for myself. I forgot all of the recipes and how to do anything though. So brain power, baby. Good. Okay. The other thing was doing things like laundry was actually really easy. Folding clothes, not so easy. Managing the puppies was something else. And we'll talk about the main dog that I was having a bit of struggle with, maybe in the moment, depending on what I want to cut out. Anyways, let's talk about the other thing then. Work. Having to get up and basically manage a shop, and
I'm more of like a grunt worker, I guess you'd call it, in my job. So I don't exactly interact with people too much, which is good because my anxiety is just like, oh my God, please. But within these couple months, I found myself way more willing to like, and didn't found that much anxiety in interacting with people or anything like that. Maybe it's just because it's through the guise of like a job that I'm like, oh, he wants something from me and I can give him the thing that he wants, like information about what he's looking for and all these things. Anyways, but even still, that was a lot to like, you're not, because, okay, this is a lot too, but I'm not even sure if I should say this. Maybe the puppies come to work with us. Maybe they don't. It's the perks of having a shop. Let's not talk about it. Whatever. Basically, I had to manage dogs as well as managing the shop, as well as managing the house to a certain degree, all at the same time. With reason. You can't manage the house because it's a bit away. We've gotten off track. Believe it or not, this was the entire other clip of the other thing I recorded. Okay. Right. So yeah, the shop, I had a couple odd jobs come in and I did them. And again, the whole feeling of this whole experience was just a giant checklist of just things that needed to get done. And I looked at it that way and it all just kind of got done. It all kind of just fell into place and boom, bam, that's it. And that's a really kind of nice feeling as well. That feeling of being like, oh, okay, that's what the day is. And that's, and I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about this first, and I should have like squeezed in some sort of alerting to this point to the video. Was throughout this entire experience, these 3 weeks of hell, so to speak, what were the two things that I walked away from realizing that were big deals to me, that would be things that I would need to understand because they were challenging beyond belief? Well, the one thing was, having to manage all these things, was the sleep factor of it all. Again, I already talked to you guys about how hard it is for me to go to sleep, but it's even harder when it's not my bed. And specifically, the reason why my bed is important is because it is particularly cold in my room. So having to sleep where the dogs are comfortable sleeping so that they can get some rest, I have to sleep in an entirely different bed. Needless to say, this bed is a fucking inferno. Especially with puppies being loving, they kind of squeeze right on you, and my body heat accelerates anything, so theirs magnetizing that is not a good time. So anyways, needless to say, it was just really hard getting to sleep. But I was able to kind of push through it. You just work and go through the paces every day, kind of tired, but you can manage, right? Even if you're on 4 hours of sleep. Well, lo and behold, what was it? I think it was like Friday, maybe? Yeah, Monday, that's what it was. So week 2, Monday, the first day of the week, that was when it finally hit me. That no sleep finally caught up to me, and I don't even want to like get back into that headspace, but I was just an irritable monster of a person that day, because again, like things that would normally not make me mad frustrated, things that would just make me frustrated and move on made me pissed. Like for instance, with a new puppy, he wants to go outside even when he doesn't want to poop, just when he wants to like look off in the distance. And that's it. And I'm like, what are you doing? Or he wants to just do it so that I'll get up and that he can kind of weirdly play when we can play in the shop. Anyways, point being is that stuff like that, where he goes to the door for the 8th time and you're like, dude, I know you don't need to use the washroom. What are you doing? Stop crying at me and making me feel bad. Anyways, point being is that I would get super mad, whereas normally I'd just be like, she's just a puppy, or he's just a puppy. But I would get super frustrated and just mad, like I can feel my blood boiling, and that's how I get mad usually. It's just like this. Anyways, needless to say, that was the one thing, believe it or not, that I walked away from the experience being, which was, it's kind of obvious, but my God, do I need sleep? Like just something to catch up, not a lot, but just something, because if I don't, I become an irritable, hateful, angry person, which I try so hard in that day specifically to just like quell my hate and my anger. But man, I couldn't. All I could do was just shut up. And that was worse, because then you just like fester and you get even more mad. Anyways, needless to say, that was one thing where I was just like, oh, okay, and this is kind of obvious, but sleep is incredibly important, of course. but to a degree in which I was shocked that it was that important. Like if I don't get sleep, I become not me. Like I usually try to be as up to what do you call it? Look on the brighter side and try to enjoy life, even if it may be quite mundane and boring. You can find the joy or spark in anything, correct? So try to do that. But my God, was it impossible to do that day. So it was like, oh, okay. At a base level, I need, there's a spider crawling on my roof. That motherfucker would have crawled on my face when I was sleeping. Anyways, yeah, so that was one of the things where I was like, oh, I need any sleep if I'm going to be who I am. Especially that day. Yeah, let's talk about that. That day that I was going through like this, just Monday, I was pissed. This no sleep finally caught up with me. I was hedging my bets that day, knowing that was it. Like I had a feeling that, okay, I haven't been getting good sleep, like 4 hours a night. This is probably caught up to me at this point. I need to get some sleep tonight. I need to be selfish to a degree, because that was also another thing where like the dogs would want to get up every 4 hours to use the washroom or do something. And I don't want to clean up shit or piss, so I would let them out and do that. But I have a hard time going back to sleep. So think of like, yeah, maybe like you go to sleep at 1 a.m., but then you let them out at 4 a.m., and then there's a little break here for like an hour of me trying to get back to sleep, which was hard. Maybe I didn't even go to sleep, by the way. I didn't even want to talk about it. Anyways, needless to say, sleep was catching up with me, okay? So I basically went to sleep that night. Luckily, when I don't have enough sleep, I get a raging headache. So we had a Tylenol in the cupboard, which was sleep time edition. Bang out. I thought, what lovely timing. And of course, the next day came, and I was really worried that it was going to be stress oriented. Like maybe this wasn't me being tired, maybe it was stress. And I was like, oh man, if stress does this to me, that's fucking nightmarish. I don't want to become this way if I'm stressed out. Anyways, next day came. I got like a good 8 hours. Boom, bam, baby. What is the goddamn word? I can't think of it, but I'm happy. I'm trying to look on the brighter side. I was able to handle like frustration things. But so that was the one thing that I walked away from the experience being like, oh, motherfucker, even though you are terrible at sleeping, do you need it? Like bad. So I think, I mean, like again, I know some people do like NyQuil. I don't think I'll get on that side of things, but I think you get stuff that's like CBD oil or something, some sort of weird thing that can help relax your mind, because that's the one thing that's hard for me is like emptying your mind. There's always something that pops up in my brain and I'm like, oh shit, get away from me, and I can't. Anyway, so that was the first thing. That was the number one thing I walked away from the experience being like, oh my God. And maybe, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'll include a clip of us in the past, like 2 weeks into it, talking about what happens with this other one, because maybe I explain it better. But I'll take my chance right now. If I fail or just think that the other clip's better, let's just do that. Let's just use that one. Anyways, so this little menace that's coming into the room now, can I show you him maybe? Come here, buddy. Come here. Don't tip over everything. Come over here. There he is. There the big dog is. There you are. Okay, licking eventually turns to biting, which is the problem with you. But you are lovely, and it's biting. And now it's biting. Don't bite me! Don't bite me! Don't bite me! Don't lick me! Don't lick me either. Don't lick me either. He's good. He's going to biting. Duke, no biting. You just need to chew on something. Duke, please. Please, Duke. Don't bite me. You're such a good boy when you don't bite. He'll bite on anything though. He just wants to. He doesn't bite hard. Stab. He doesn't bite hard, but he is a lot. He's a boxer, which boxers are just filled with energy, like too much. You're licking my arm right now, and it's very gross. I don't know what to say, man. Basically, he's great. I love him to pieces. I'm all in at this point. But he's looking, he's just going, okay, all right. Can we not? Thank you. No, not the beard. Mwah. Yeah, so he's great. I love him. So we got him from people that basically bought a baby, and they taught him to, don't bite my neck. Do not bite my neck. You didn't see, but he bit my neck. Okay. I don't know how to put it into words. Basically, the people that had him before us, that we bought him from, taught him the worst shit.
Like, they didn't potty train him at all, which you're supposed to do at the cuff. Like, as soon as they're babies, teach them, hey, outside grass, you piss and shit there. Go team. We let you out. That's when you do your business. So as like a 1-year-old who's basically formed a bunch of bad habits, we're having to like reintroduce. Don't drink my coffee. We're trying to like reintroduce normalcy to like his structure, and he seems to be liking it. Again, I think the people who he was with didn't. Well, I don't want to be rude, but it doesn't seem like they were his fit. If you ever had boxers as like a dog, they're some of the most like high energy but loving dogs out there. Like, they're incredibly high energy, and then they're also very they're not independent. They need that's why my family likes them, is because we're big dog people. That's why my mom specifically likes them, is because they're like children. They need love all the time, but they love you with that like times 10. So that's good too. I'm sure the dogs are similar, and yeah, I'm sure dogs can be whatever they want to be. This one is the same as our first boxer, which is, again, just so much energy. This one has more energy, and he's independent. I think he's smart. He's really smart, but he's not independent. Meaning, if like I leave the room, he's coming with me because he doesn't want to be alone. And I'm like, that's fine. That's actually really adorable. But having to reintroduce like basic rules to him, like, hey, don't shit in the house, because apparently these people just let him shit anywhere and everywhere. No wonder they wanted him to not have him anymore. Fucking shout out to my fucking family, who is killing it and have looked after dogs ever since I can remember. Like, even when my parents didn't have kids, they still had dogs. So we were just really, we know how to train them, basically. So in the span of like him being himself for like a year, pissing and shitting everywhere, in the span of like 3 weeks, we were able to get him on the track of, nope, you pee out here, you shit out here, boom, bam. This you can play at this time, but at this point you gotta sleep or you gotta go find something else to do. We did that. So shout out to my parents and myself for just knowing how to be like, you know what? No, bad. You know what punishments make sense and what punishments don't. The other aspect that I found that was super hard for me walking away from this whole experience, kind of like lessons learned, was that a wonderful and amazing pup, Duke. You see, he was, how do I say it? Like, it was one of those things where, you know, this whole experience was the 9-to-5 job, and I talked about this in the past, but it's basically the idea of, okay, we'll say worst case scenario, I had to work like a job that was like minimum wage, brute force grunt work, and that's not the worst case scenario, but that's just something that's like a level of something that I could see life shitting on you and you being thrown in. So you would need to know how to do grunt work, work that you don't necessarily want to do. You need to wake up at 9 and make it to 5 a.m. and do that for a whole week, and you have your 9-to-5 job. Boom, bam. Maybe you have a shitty apartment that you gotta manage and do stuff to. Boom. That's like the benchmark for me. I know life can get way worse, but I would say I could see someone like easily landing themselves there. So could I make it? Could I survive? Could I be happy when even doing that? For these weeks. And I found myself being like, okay, I got through the entire week. So when Friday came around and I did it. You know, I made it through that 9-to-5 kind of work life. And especially handling more things than I think most people would. Well, not most people. Some people have crazy jobs. Anyways, I made it through that week. I finally got a second to myself. I think it was like 2 hours I had. Because I had to make dinner and do the dishes. Anyways, I had this moment to myself, and I finally turned on a TV show because I wanted to watch it. It was an anime, let's be honest. Anyways, so I turned it on, and 3 minutes in, some insufferable barking and yapping, because that's the way our two dogs play, and they're in my room having a goofy time, but of course, they kept barking, and then another 5 minutes passed after I'm just frustrated because I can't even watch the thing I'm doing. The one dog wants to go outside, the new pup, and I'm like, oh. And it was that moment of realization of like, oh, okay, because this is a puppy, and it's just me, I have no one to lean on. So this never stops. This is endless. And that was to me a really like, it wasn't what was normal, you know. It wasn't like a 9-to-5 job
where when you make it to Friday, you make it to the weekend, you have these 2 days of just recovery, of just trying to catch your breath, maybe doing the things that you want to do. With Duke, it wasn't like that. It was exhausting, because you didn't even have that 2 minutes to yourself. It was always him. And again, I can't stress enough how I love this dog, and I think he's awesome and wonderful and fits so well within our family. But God in heaven, it reminded me, weirdly enough, of what I would think, and I don't think this is fair, but having a kid. And I know people are gonna just take that with whatever way they want to, but I actually think it may have been a worse experience. Well, not a worse experience, because kids are like, but what I'm getting at is when you have a child, hopefully, or even when you have a dog, you hopefully have 2 people, so that you can have a minute to yourself, and they can hang out with the other person, or if you have a kid, the other partner in the relationship can watch the child, and you can have a second to yourself. No, this didn't exist for 3 weeks. It was him and me. Also, he's not an independent dog. Most boxers aren't. Most boxers are not independent. They are like locked to you. They hate being alone. So that was something that I had the realization of me being like, oh my God, this never ends. We are stuck in this, and like looking after this. And again, it was one of those moments where I was just like, oh my God, I just want a minute to myself, man. I'm breaking at the seams. But I swallowed my, I don't know what to call it, sadness. Swallowed my sadness and realized that this was what the reality of the situation was. Tried to make the best of it, and I did. Partner in crime kind of deal with him and me. But that was one of the things I walked away from being like, oh shit. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot to manage a puppy by yourself. I want to stress that so much. By yourself. And trying to be a good, loving owner, not being this neglective cunt, Anyways, that's all I really have to say, guys, about the whole 3 weeks of hell. 2 things I walked away from about this whole experience, dealing with a metric fuck ton of responsibility. Honestly, didn't really stress out about it, got through it. 2 things I walked away from experiencing or learning from it. I need sleep like a goddamn human needs air, okay? I also, I don't know how to put that one. Basically just how much responsibility, or not even responsibility. What I'm saying is, with that one thing with Duke is like just a shining light on me being like, I can manage as long as I have a day to myself, like just something, a day. And usually I only have Sunday as like a day to just do nothing, because I edit and do all the things on all the other days. So I just have this one day, but without even that one day, it was a lot. But even still, it wasn't unbearable, It kind of, I don't know, it was a lot of responsibility, but at the same time, you pull out of it kind of understanding more about yourself, which is good, I think. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Maybe I interchanged some of this with the old version of it, the previous video I made, the previous clip I did of this. I just thought I did a really poor job of explaining things, and I thought you deserved better. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our weird podcasty Let's Talk thing. Thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and goodbye. Also, be gentle with me for the videos upcoming, because I haven't recorded in 3 weeks. So, yeah, thank you again, and goodbye.